fast forward in come channel is so I'm say Haxi GH politics avenue podcast stories training because we headlines and the Jemre na yidi exum ewa did nyam brasia mu se ene dey kanya share say be subscribe to the channel, hit on notification bell, share na for friends or insight into me and can be now mama info inra to Forson aswe na ene utimi bo remo parliament abra utimi deliver a media budget no na obiki a whole lot of exposés with regards to ghost names public servants payroll so anenya assemble to Akroma what you say 14,000 ghost names and so far auditor general no etimi discover na sanse musi na abijafo ajemra omo eyemu pensim mu hu behia se onso betimi hu de ko ene de ba shena so am say minority omo parliament so ene omo stage walkout to Forson abra o deliver ne budget no onso timi free parliament e de na ko fasa de ne bae empanyfo atrase a nsem so omo ejimu nchiremu hu behia se hu de ko ene de ba yimu wram that's so ajemra e wa hase.
Many thanks for choosing us this hour. Let's settle for the details of our stories. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Addo Forson, has disclosed that a nationwide payroll audit has uncovered significant irregularities in Ghana's public sector salary administration, including over 14,000 unverifiable workers and 53,307 separated staff still on payroll. Presenting the 2025 mid-year budget review in Parliament on Thursday, Dr. Forson said the Ghana Audit Service commissioned by the Ministry of Finance has completed 91% of a comprehensive payroll audit across all 16 regions. Channel 1 News' Ni Ayikwe Okan has more in the following report.
Ahead of the presentation of the 2025 mid-year budget review by the Finance Minister, Dr. Addo Forson, the Minority Caucus staged a walkout in Parliament after being denied the opportunity to make a statement on the electoral violence that marred the rerun of the parliamentary election at 19 polling stations in the Ablekmanov constituency.
Mr. Speaker, we have lined up a number of activities to back home our demands, and to the extent that these violence visited are not atoned, we cannot be part of the presentation of the media budget. And to that extent, Speaker, we are exiting the parliament and cannot be part of this process.
Despite the protest, the presentation proceeded as the House met the quorum required for parliamentary business. In his address, Dr. Addo Forson disclosed that a payroll audit conducted by the Audit Service uncovered approximately 14,000 ghost names on the public sector payroll.
The Speaker, the Audit Service has completed 91% of the payroll audit. So far, the Audit Service has not been able to identify or verify over 14,000 workers. Mr. Speaker, again, they have identified 53,311 separated staff on the payroll. Mr. Speaker, separated staffs are staff who are either on retirement, reassigned, terminated, or are on leave without pay or deceased, and yet remain on government payroll. Mr. Speaker, the Audit Service expects to recover a minimum of 150.4 million of unearned salary from the separated staff over 2023 and 2024 period alone. Right, Honorable Speaker, going forward, we will enforce the monthly payroll validation process and strictly apply sanctions to all who validate ghosts for payment of salaries. Mr. Speaker, let me use this opportunity to strongly caution those who validate ghosts across the public service, that they will be personally liable for the loss of public funds.
The Finance Minister further revealed that some contractors had abandoned about 55 infrastructure projects despite having already drawn down on the allocated loans.
Mr. Speaker, it has come to the attention of the Ministry of Finance that a number of contractors implementing some of these 55 stalled projects have drawn down on the loans with no work done to match the amount drawn down. Mr. Speaker, Sadly, it has come to the attention of the Ministry of Finance that a number of contractors implementing some of these 55 projects have drawn down on the loans with no work done to match the amount drawn down. Again, some contractors have submitted additional costs in excess of what Parliament approved. The Ministry of Finance has accordingly commissioned a forensic audit into this project. So, Speaker, we will apprise the House when this audit is completed.
Forson announced a new directive halting the denomination of public contracts in foreign currencies, a move he said is necessary to reduce fiscal risk and enhance macroeconomic stability.
Unfortunately, foreign currencies are becoming the means of transacting business in Ghana. This trend, if not checked, will erode the confidence in our currency, drive inflation, and result in the loss of value in the symbol of our sovereignty. So, Speaker, to curb this unfortunate development, His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, has directed that beginning today, 24th of July 2025, no contract awarded by government, irrespective of source of fund, should be denominated in foreign currency.
Now, the government is set to rehabilitate 10 kilometers of roads annually in each of the 166 constituencies identified as having urgent road infrastructure needs, he added.
The President Mahama administration has identified 166 constituencies in dire need of road infrastructure. In response, we have programmed to rehabilitate 10 kilometers of roads annually in each of these constituencies. Mr. Speaker, this translates to about 5,000 kilometers of road to be constructed in these 166 constituencies in dire need of road infrastructure over the next 3 years.
Reporting from Parliament, Ni Ayikwe Okan for Channel 1 News.
Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament has petitioned President John Mahama and members of the diplomatic community over the violence that marred the Ablekuma North by-election and the worsening illegal mining crisis, also known as Galamsey. This follows their decision to boycott the presentation of the 2025 mid-year budget review. The following report has more.
Clad in black to register their protest, members of the minority caucus walked out of Parliament and headed to the Lebanon embassy, where they presented a petition to the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps. The petition focused on two major concerns: the violence that erupted during the Ablekuma North election rerun and the devastating impact of illegal mining. Their next stop was the Jubilee House. The minority delegation presented a similar petition to the President, received on his behalf by Deputy Chief of Staff Stan Dogbe.
We are here to present this petition and to appeal for your patriotic intervention in these matters. We have confidence in you. We believe you will act. Now, we hear you have 2/3 majority in Parliament. We heard that. But you also need a minority in Parliament to function. Now, if we don't hear anything, and it is business as usual, it is absolute silence, you are not going to hear anything, this is just the beginning of a series of actions we are going to stage in this country. But we won't do anything out of malice to undermine your governance. But as long as the threat of electoral violence keeps rearing its head, and our authorities seem to be at their wit's end, we'll continue to bring these matters into our attention until it is dealt with.
So I've received your petition on behalf of the Chief of Staff and the President, and we'll do what to present it to him. Thank you.
The final stop was the offices of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO. Receiving the petition, leading member Reverend Fred Degwe pledged CODEO's commitment to work with relevant stakeholders to address the concerns raised.
CODEO issued a statement condemning the violence we saw and the inaction of the police, and hoping and praying that one of these days Ghana will come to the point where we've been lauded for having good elections, but we think we should come to a point where it becomes a strictly civil society activity, You go to some countries, nobody calls the police, nobody calls the army. Sometimes it's because a normal thing that people go and vote and go back home. So if we keep lauding ourselves that we are the epitome of democracy and this is what we see, definitely we as Kodo are not happy about it.
3 petitions, one to the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, to the President, and then to Kodeo. The minority says their action today was in no way meant to take the spotlight away from the media budget review. They are hopeful that their actions will sort of trigger some response from the President, who they say has been awfully quiet about the unfortunate event of Ablekuma North. For Channel 1 News, Charles Osukumi.
Let's speak to the Member of Parliament for Akuffo North, Samir Wuku, to get his thoughts on recent developments in Parliament and the broader economic direction of the country. Many thanks for joining us, Honorable Samir Wuku.
Thank you for having me, and good evening to your cherished viewers as well.
Right. Let's begin with the minorities' walkout. Now, some have described it as a staged political theater. How do you respond to that characterization?
Well, I don't believe that. I believe that within our rights as members of parliament and that of the minority is the exercise of boycott and walkout to also register our displeasure. The issues that we believe can gravely undermine our democratic practice and dispensation. At the heart of our democratic rule is constitutionalism. And we believe that the rerun of the Ablekuma North, the 19 polling stations was to give the residents and the constituents an opportunity to affirm and restore their representation in the House of Parliament. But that exercise was gravely undermined by widespread violence, voter intimidation, beatings and assault, attacks on innocent civilians and citizens, and the noisy silence of government and that of the various actors within the state machinery, and the coercive use of the state machinery during that Ablekuma North rerun of these 19 polling stations, where we saw young men acting to undermine the process, where we believe that these were political operatives of government. And so once we had not heard anything from government, and we believe that this is part of a coordinated effort to prepare the grounds for future elections and that of eventual 2028, we believe that as members of the minority and determined to also help protect the sanctity of our democracy, we exercise our rights by walking out today during the media review budget presentation by the finance minister, and to also use the opportunity to also petition some 3 major bodies. One, the diplomatic community, where we delivered our petition to the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps at the Lebanese Embassy, then secondly to the Jubilee House, the seat of government, and then thirdly to the Coalition of the Domestic Elections Observers. And let me use the opportunity to also say a big thank you to the media fraternity who also accompanied the minority, the mighty minority, during the processes today. And it will not end there. We are also going to petition several other bodies as we fight for justice for these victims of Ablekuma North, and to also make that profound statement that violence, the democratization of violence, we believe must stop.
Honorable, critics have questioned the timing of the protest, noting that, today was the media budget review. The debate was up while the incident you were highlighting happened over 2 weeks ago. In hindsight, was this the right moment?
Well, I'm not too sure about what you mean is right or wrong in terms of timing. I'm not too sure that the government was willing to act. If swift action had been taken, we've had the pictures of these young guys of these gentlemen operatives, of these guys, brutally assaulting a woman. You are a woman as well. What was meted out to Hawa Kumsin could happen to you. And we believe that the woman was only lucky to have survived. We didn't hear from government, not even a cough from the presidency. And there's a president who said he was going to protect each and everyone. And there's the president that during his campaign was using the high moral ground to say that any victim of electoral violence, you pursue justice for them. And so we found it strange that his noisy silence was actually mind-boggling, and that is why the minority decided to also exercise our right. We believe clearly the media budget review was not also supposed to be debated anyway.
Right.
After the presentation of the finance minister, our understanding was that both sides of the house were going to just give some brief comments on it. So it wasn't something that today was going to be open for debate.
The majority has suggested that your walkout was a preemptive tactic, that you feared the mid-year budget would highlight positive government performance. What's your reaction to that claim?
I think we will really take our time to do a savage dissection of the media review budget. But one thing that I know for sure, that the whole of last year, electricity tariffs under President Akuffo Addo 2024, the whole of 2024 was increased by 11%. Today we are in July. Just electricity, the tariffs on electricity alone is in excess of 17%. So meaning that there's intense hardship as compared to last year. Again, you have over 6% increment on water tariffs. Then you're also talking about this D levy, call it doomsday levy, disillusion levy, death levy, disappointment levy, and you'll be right. Today, for every liter of fuel that you purchase, this government extracts from you 1 cedi. And you cannot buy 1 liter of fuel to fuel your car, be it commercial or private. It has to be in gallons. So clearly, Ghanaians are feeling the pinch at the pump. Today, if the finance minister is telling us that our economy, the economic figures and indicators are on a sound footing, you have importers and exporters telling you that they are unable to even get the forex to even transact business. We are not the ones saying it. You've had many Ghanaians who are into trade, businesses and all, unable to even transact business because of the unavailability of forex. This same government, again, said they were taking off 1% e-levy. They also promised to take off the COVID levy. The COVID levy is still there. The 1% e-levy was taken, but 8% on petroleum products also imposed. So I see a trend. We have said that this government is a government of 3 things: of PR, of optics, and of settings. So anything that positions them as, doing something, but in actual fact, the pocket economy speaks for itself. The same government said that they were scrapping the fuel allocation for appointees of government. Today we were at Jubilee House. You could see that fuel depot is actually functioning. The fuel depot at Castles, where you have several appointees and these national security operatives and guys and people who don't even qualify to even draw fuel from this vending point, are seriously and actively still drawing fuel. So it's like the Ghanaian is being asked to tighten his or her belt, whilst the government is using elastic around the waist. So we are in an extraordinary situation, and we are going to really have time to dissect this media review budget. But today, our focus was on 2 things: to register our displeasure about the poor handling of the violence, the electoral violence, and that undermined the electoral process in Ablekuma North. And 2, the growing concern, the menace of Galamsey. You have UTAG bearing its teeth. You've had TUC telling government in the face on May Day that the situation has actually worsened. And we also made some strong demands as far as the issue of this Galamsey is concerned. And we indicated that as a matter of urgency, we're expecting the government to also show greater concern in arresting the situation. We believe that a state of emergency, a national state of emergency in all illegal mining zones as per Article 31 of the Constitution. We also expect that the government also publicly and unequivocally as well condemn all forms of illegal mining, regardless of the political affiliations of these perpetrators. Right. And also we expect government, now that they have even a huge majority, to repeal the legislative instrument, if they mean well, of the LI 2462, which has inadvertently enabled illegal mining operations.
All right, Honorable Samuel, we thank you for your time.
And thank you very much.
Right, let's move on to some other stories now. A solemn wreath-laying ceremony was held today at Asumdwe Park to mark 13 years since the passing of former President Professor John Evans Atta Mills. The commemoration brought together leaders of the National Democratic Congress, the late president's family, President John Dramani Mahama, and Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. In his tribute, President Mahama lauded Professor Atta Mills for his humility, integrity, and visionary leadership, noting that the NDC's current reset agenda draws inspiration from the Better Ghana agenda championed by the late leader. Channel 1 News' Sarah Pierre was at the ceremony and reports.
On July 24, 2012, Ghana was plunged into grief when Professor John Evans Atta Mills, the nation's third president of the Fourth Republic, passed away suddenly at the 37 Military Hospital. His untimely death cut short a presidency that began on January 7, 2009, sending shockwaves across the country and dominating media headlines. 13 years on, the memory of his leadership lives on. Thursday's ceremony at Asumdwe Park served as both a tribute and a moment of reflection. Addressing the gathering, President John Dramani Mahama praised his predecessor's enduring legacy, describing the event as more than ceremonial.
If there's one lesson we draw from the life of President Mills, it is that no challenge is insurmountable when we listen with empathy and when we govern with principle. So let me say for emphasis that our reset agenda today rests on the foundation of the Better Ghana agenda that was laid by Professor J.E.A. Mills.
President Mahama further revealed plans to refurbish the John Evans Atta Mills Presidential Library, assuring that it will stand as a permanent monument to his life and service.
Kofi Totobi and a small group are already working on bringing that memorial library back to the shape in which it should be. And we can be sure that we will let it achieve the objective for which it was set up.
The executive director.
And to some of the course of channel so I'm not so dim a water send so bad in the Dumbia Dominion. In Shay, now in for the Chinsey and Science. That's it. GH Politics Avenue.